Hey, thanks so much for tuning into the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. Happy New Year, everyone. It is Monday, January 2nd. It is a new year. And with that, we're going to be talking about new beginnings. We're going to talk about change. We're going to talk about shifting. I like cars. I like motorcycles. And, there's thing about shifting is that when you are going down the freeway and you're in a manual transmission and you're in fourth gear, you understand that there is room to grow, meaning you have the fifth gear, potentially you'd have the sixth gear as well in a manual transmission. And that is something that I want you to think about your life. Think about where you were at 1 year ago. Say it was January 2nd, January 1st, 2022. Where were you at? What were some of the things that you were hoping to accomplish this past year? Sometimes that question can really discourage us. It can really get us down because we're like, we think about all the things we didn't get to accomplish. But instead of having it be a demotivation, look at it as a motivation because you're here today and you can move forward. And so let's take some steps moving forward and let's not settle for being in fourth gear when there's always room to grow. And you might be there. You might be going places. You might be, striving to moving forward, growing in your relationship with God, having more integrity, being more loving, being more thoughtful, caring. That's great. But you know what? There's always more room to grow. So regardless of where we're at, whether in first, second, third, fourth, or fifth gear, there's always room to grow. And so let this week be an encouragement. And thank you so much for tuning in to these daily doses. Our prayer is that these will be the catalyst to your growth. They will be the starting point for you to get into His Word. And so today we're going to be talking about two men. We're going to be in the book of Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, and there was a change in leadership, because with anything, with any change, there is some difficulty. And I want us to look at Deuteronomy 31, verses 1 through 6. This is what it says. When Moses had finished giving these instructions to all the people of Israel, he said, I am now 120 years old, and I am no longer able to lead you. Now, I think he did his time, absolutely. He said, the Lord has told me, you will not cross the Jordan River. We won't get into the reasons why. We don't have time for this daily dose, but dive into it. It's pretty amazing. But the Lord, your God himself, will cross over ahead of you. He will destroy the nations living there, and you will take possession of their land. Joshua will lead you across the river, just as the Lord had promised. Now, who is Joshua? Joshua was kind of Moses' right hand, somebody who Moses poured his leadership style. He led by example to Joshua. Joshua saw all the things that Moses had done and how he led. Then verse 4, the Lord will destroy the nations living in the land, just as he destroyed Sihon and Og and the kings of the Amorites. The Lord will hand over to you the people living there, and you must deal with them as I have commanded you. So be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not panic before them, for the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. And I want that to be an encouraging word to you, because with any shift, with any transition, there's going to be fear, because there's going to be obstacles in front of us. But I want these words of Moses to be such an encouragement to all of us today, because he's saying, hey, don't let that fear you. The Lord's going to go in front of you. He's going to fight for you, and he's going to destroy you. There you go. And because of that, we don't have to fear. We don't have to be dismayed. We don't have to be discouraged. What we can do is we can be confident knowing that God is going to be with us and knowing that we will face obstacles. So let this be an encouragement that God will go ahead of you. He will go before you. He will go behind you. He will walk alongside of you no matter what obstacles you face this week, this month, this year. Let that be an encouragement to you as you choose to go after him. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.